Okay, next question is about participant retention. How can we justify assessment of impact that appears over a longer period of time, especially when the chances of losing participants are quite high?
Okay, so there's two aspects to this question. One is attrition and one is recall. So I think from the wording you're talking about attrition. So people move, people stop participating in programs and so on. Actually, there's two parts to that as well. When we calculate impact effect, there's two different effects we can work out. One is what's called the intention to treat effect, and the other is the treatment treated effect. The intention to treat effect measures the impact of those who took part in the program, sorry, those who had the opportunity, who were exposed to the program, whether they took part or not. So in the Mozambique preschool example, that's why I emphasised 26% of children living in communities where there was a preschool were 26% more likely to go on to elementary school than those living in communities without the preschool. I didn't say 20% of children going to the preschool. Well, children going to preschool were 26% more likely to go on to elementary school. I'll say that again because I messed it up. I said that children in the villages where there was a preschool were 26% more likely to go on to elementary school. I didn't say children attending the preschool were 26% more likely to go on to preschool. The former, children living in villages where there was a preschool were 26% more likely to go on to preschool, is the intention to treat effect. If I was to say children attending the preschool were X% more likely to go on to elementary school, which would be a high number, that's for treatment of a treated effect. It only refers to those who actually took part of the intervention. For policy purposes, we're usually more interested in the intention to treat effect. So if people have taken part in the program but have dropped out of the program, we still want to measure the impact on them because they're still intended to treat them. So we don't drop them from our end-line survey if they dropped out of the program. They're still in the intention to treat group. They're still in the treatment group to that point. Now, there may be a problem of attrition. They've moved away out of the community. If attrition is 5 to 10%, you can deal with it. It creates a potential bias. You have to check for that bias and adjust for it if it's there. It's a statistical issue. If it's much larger than that, you start to have a problem. These days, we try to track people because it's very likely that if someone's moved from the community, someone nearby has their phone number. And we all know mobile coverage is very high these days, so it's not unlikely to have a mobile phone. They may not have, but it's not unlikely to have a mobile phone if they moved away. And so we can still try and track people. So depending on intervention, it might be important to try and follow up people that have migrated or moved. And that's done increasingly in studies, it's become increasingly easy to do, and the various modules you can get to allow you to do it. The second issue, which you may not have been asking about, but I'll address briefly, is recall. Some people say, oh, you can't use recall because recall is unreliable. Recall means asking people to remember things that have happened to them. The statement you can't use recall is clearly nonsense because all surveys use recall. When I interview a household head, a man or woman in their 50s, I don't ask them, are you currently attending any education institute? I ask them, what was the highest level of education you achieved? Similarly, we don't ask them, are you eating rice now while I'm talking to you? We ask them, how much rice does your household consume in the last 2 weeks? We have reference periods, and it's been determined by people doing surveys that the last 2 weeks or 1 week is a reasonable recall period for household consumption items purchased on a regular basis. For larger items purchased less regularly, then a 1 year recall period is used. I think that people can remember major assets. I remember all the cars and bicycles I've ever owned. I think other people can do so. I know how many children I've got. I know when they were born. That's recall. Because I think people actually can do recall. You need to be sensible about it. I've seen a survey that asked, so 3 years ago, you've got 10 plots of land. How much time did you spend seeding that plot number 6 3 years ago? The question's a waste of time. It's a waste of paper, waste of numerator time, waste of respondents' time, waste of any time analysing those data. No one can remember that. So be sensible about recall. But saying you can't use recall at all is an overstatement. And you can use recall to recreate baseline where there is no baseline. Just stick to things that are big and easy to remember, like assets and age and education.